Do you have too much month at the end of your money? Has your lack of discipline got your emergency fund looking a bit low? I think you need to watch this video. Welcome to The Adult Life, where we give you the tools to be a happy and healthy adult. My name is Simi and I'm the adult in charge. So we've finally reached the last video in the How to Save Money in London series. Woo! If you haven't watched it, at the end of this video, you can click on the link in the description and you can watch all my money saving tips to help you save money. So the first thing you need to think about before you start saving money is, why are you trying to save money? Are you saving for a specific goal? Are you saving just because you want to start getting into the savings lifestyle? Even your goals, are they short-term goals? Are they long-term goals? Because the reason why you're saving will definitely have an effect on how you save. So the reason why it's so important to know why you're trying to save money is because the day you go broke, you're going to see that money sit in your savings, looking all lowly and think, oh, I'm going to use that for whatever I need to. Instead of thinking, actually, this money is money that I'm using for a specific thing and it's off limits. And even when you do have a goal in mind, you really need to be understanding whether it's a long-term goal or a short-term goal. And here's the reason why. So if I had a short-term goal and I wanted to buy a phone, let's say the phone is £500, I would be a lot more likely to cut back a lot for the 2, 3, or however many weeks it would take me to save up that money. I don't mind eating beans on toast if it's just for 1 or 2 weeks. That's fine with me. But if I wanted to save something like a house deposit, that would take me maybe 2, 3, 4 years. Who wants to be eating beans on toast for 2, 3, 4 years? I mean, it's not me, trust me. I love food, so it couldn't happen. And what's going to happen is you're going to be really upset with yourself when you end up burnt out and splurging the money on something that you really didn't need. So it's a really good idea to find out how long you actually need to save for, and that way you can do your cutbacks in a sustainable manner and you'll be able to maintain it for 2 or 3 or 4 years. So let me give you an example of how people usually burn out. Say you wanted to save about 12k for a deposit and you gave yourself a time limit of 2 years. That would amount to a savings of about £500 a month. Now for some people, £500 a month is unattainable. No matter what you do, you can't cut it out. And you might have to do it over 3 years, which is 330, or 4 years, which is 250. Hey, that's a quick math, you know. But that's just not going to happen. For some people, £500 might require, a lot of cutting back. Maybe they can only go out once a month. Maybe they can only get takeout once a month. And for some people, that's just not palatable and you'd rather take a longer time. And for some people, that £500 might just mean you need to be a bit more careful with your spending, or them cash money people. So when you know how much you need to save per month, you can look at your actual budget and know, this is doable for a year, but not for 2 years, and you can adjust it accordingly. The second way to save more money is by reducing your expenses. Now, this is what all of my previous videos in the How to Save Money in London series have been about. I've been talking about bills, I've been talking about food. There's some things that you just can't cut out of your budget. So it's best to find good ways to spend as little money as possible on them. And one of my favorite ways that I might not have mentioned in my previous videos is buying refurbished or buying secondhand. eBay, Gumtree and Amazon are the first places I go whenever I need to buy something new. Not only are they usually a lot cheaper than buying things from the shops, you can get things almost brand new for like half the price. So for electronics that are manufacturer refurbished, they're almost as good as buying it brand new. Usually they're things that maybe had something faulty and they've been fixed and they can't sell it as new anymore. So I know that Apple have a refurbished page. I know that you can go on Argos and find some refurbished items there. But it's definitely a good place to go if you want to get new things but still slightly cheap. Also for secondhand, there are so many things you can get secondhand that are so much cheaper and they're just as good. When you're talking about things like desks, wardrobes, shelves, you don't really need them to be new. And as long as it still looks good and the structural quality is still good, why would I go to IKEA and spend £150 on that beautiful desk I really want, when I can go to Gumtree and people are giving away their things for free? So I'd advise you try there first before you try and buy something new. Obviously there's some things that you probably wouldn't want to get secondhand. I know people don't like secondhand clothes. If you're buying things like pots and pans, I probably wouldn't get that secondhand either, just because of hygienic reasons. But for things you're not rubbing on your body or putting in your mouth, I'm sure there are quite a few things that you'd be able to find a lot cheaper. So at this point, I'm going to have to ask you to hit that like button if you like what you've seen so far. And why not subscribe if you want to see similar videos, because I post every weekend. Now, the next way I think that you can save money is by using tech. Now, I work in tech, so I'm always looking for new apps and new services to help me automate my savings. And trust me, automating your savings is one of the easiest ways to save. Because it's automatic, you don't even notice it leaving your account, so it's a lot less painful than actually moving money to your account each time. Also, if you're automating your standard orders and your direct debits, it's a lot less likely that you'll forget to pay some bills and you won't get any late fees, or you won't go into overdraft because you already know that the money's coming out. So what I know some people do is that they actually combine standing orders with separate accounts. So someone I know has a bill account and they have a standing order that takes as much money as they need to cover all their bills for the month, and they put it into that account, and all the bills also come out from that account. So they know that that account will never be overdrawn and the bills will come up automatically. So really they just check it periodically to make sure that any excess money that they're putting in can be taken out and put to better use. Once you've got your bill sorted, you can start thinking about roundup apps. Now, roundup apps round up your transactions and they put the difference in a separate account. And it doesn't seem like that much money. After all, it's just 15 pence here, 20 pence there. But once you really do it for a long time, you realize that at the end of the month, it becomes £15 here and £20 there. Obviously, you're not going to become Bill Gates using this method, but it's a really good way to save in a painless manner. And if you do it over the year, you could get hundreds and hundreds of pounds. One thing I also like to advise people when it comes to savings is save, but also think about investing. A lot of people hate the word investing. They think it's gambling. They think the stock market is risky. And to a large extent, I don't disagree. It can be a bit risky, especially when you're thinking about short-term savings. So for shorter term goals, things that are less than 5 years, I would definitely say stick to saving rather than investing. And I'll talk about investing in a little bit. The current savings rates are really ridiculous. So it's definitely in your best interest to find something that has a better interest rate than 0.5% or 0.01%. Like, what's even the point? You're not going to get much money from that. The best savings rate I've seen right now are cash ISAs. And I'm sure most of you know what cash ISAs are. £20,000 tax-free wrapper that you can save money in without having to pay tax on your interest gains. So there are a few banks and building societies offering some cash ISAs that have a good interest rate. So you should definitely check those out. If you don't see any cash ISAs that would work for you, what you could do is try and do fixed term savings. And what that means is you're saving money for a certain amount of time, maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and they usually get a better interest rate than your normal instant access savings account. What you can also do is use a long notice savings account, and they usually have maybe a 3 or 4 month period that you have to tell the bank before you can take your money out. Obviously, this is not the kind of money you'd use in an emergency, just because the emergency will be over in 4 months anyway. So it's more for long-term use. You know, if you're going to buy a house, you know that you put the money there, and then a few months before you think you're going to close on a house, you ask to take the money out. Obviously, like I said, investing isn't for everyone. It's something that you really need to do research on, because you can lose your money. It's not some get-rich-quick scheme. It's risky if you don't know what you're doing. So definitely do your research before you start investing. One of the easy ways to get into investing though is getting a stocks and shares ISA. And what this means is that you're putting money into an ISA, but then that money is being invested into stocks and shares of companies. And it's a bit different from normal investing, because you're not picking one particular company like an Amazon or an Apple. What you're doing is you're putting your money into lots of different companies, and that way you're kind of insulated from the market effects. So even if Google goes down a bit for tomorrow, Apple might be having a good day, or if Boeing goes down, another company's having a good day. So your portfolio isn't just diving down anytime the industry goes down. And I think it's a lot better for the faint-hearted people like me, who would probably just cry blood if we saw that our portfolio had gone down a bit for a day. So there are quite a few companies doing the stocks and shares ISA. You can have a look and see if there's any that you like. But as I said, please do your research. It's not something you should just dive into head first. So I'm sure you've heard of the Lifetime ISA, right? If not, you really need to research about it. The government created the Lifetime ISA for two main things: buying your first house or as a pension. The best thing about the Lifetime ISA is that the government gives you a bonus of up to £1,000 free. Now, the only way you can get the bonus is if you put the maximum, which is £4,000 in, but the government will give you up to 25% of what you put in. So if you put £400, you get £100. If you put in £1,000, you get an extra £250. And there are some limits, like some age limits, and it can only be used for your first house. So if you already have a house, you can't use it for that. But if you don't have a Lifetime ISA yet, I would definitely say you should get one. Put as much money as you can in it, up to the £4,000 limit, and get your £1,000 free money. There are some other rules in relation to the Lifetime ISA. I'd advise you to do your research, go on Money Saving Expert, because they've got a whole lot of information and things that you can read about. Another thing to note is that they actually had a penalty to take the money out before, but because of the virus, they've cancelled that, so you can just take the money and put it back in. But the £4,000 limit applies to everything you put in, even if you take it back out later, so it's better to bear that in mind. Now, the last way for you to save money in London is to get your money up. After all, the more you bring in, the more you can save. Now, I understand that in this particular time, it's crazy out there. I've been affected personally, and I know lots of people have had their businesses destroyed and they've lost their jobs. So this is definitely a step that you should do only if you can. But if you can find any way to make more money, the better for you. Now, I'm talking about maybe starting your own business, finding a way to make some passive income. If you have a spare room, take a lodger in. You can even do surveys and tests just to get a little bit of cash in. After all, every little helps. So once you've got yourself into a rhythm of making some extra cash, you can add this to whatever you're saving, or you can use the money that you're earning from your second source of income as what you spend on things like treats and luxuries, and you can spend all the money that you get from your normal everyday source of income for things like bills and savings. Now, I understand that was really hardcore and really in-depth, and I appreciate that it can be hard to theorize. So what I think I'm going to do is in the next video, I'm going to break down somebody's budget line by line and make sure that they're saving for their goals but still having a good amount of fun too. Because remember, money is just a tool for you to have fun. It's not the be all and end all, and there's so many things that matter a lot more, but having money helps. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe and click the link down below to see all the other videos in the How to Save Money in London playlist. Until next time, see ya!